Wonderful. Welcome, Kendall. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Hey, everyone. My name is Kendall. I'm the co-founder of a company called Proximity Labs. We do a few things. We build DeFi products, and we're also about to launch a DAO that's focused on really just supporting the DeFi ecosystem. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the state of DeFi on Near as it is today. And we're also going to then touch on where it's going to be going over the next few months and hopefully years. So let's just start with a few numbers, kind of giving you guys an idea of where the DeFi is right now. All of these are also out of date, by the way, which is a fun occurrence. So the total value locked on Near recently crossed 150 million. Just to kind of define what that means, total value locked is essentially a measure of the value of the assets that are currently being used or stored in DeFi products on a blockchain or in a protocol. So yeah, recently 150 million, I think actually pretty close to 200 as of today. There have been 5 major token launches on Near. What we mean by that is that each of these projects has rapidly accumulated several $1 million worth of liquidity and also value that's been transacted for it. A few of these you may have heard of, and we'll also cover later in this talk. We had our first $100 million single protocol. Congrats to the Ref.finance team on that accomplishment. Excited to see that turn into $1 billion and more. And there's 5 pools. Yeah. There's 5 pools with more than 10 million in liquidity, which is really exciting. A lot of those are actually Near native tokens. There's more than 10 million Near tokens that are currently locked in DeFi. This is a pretty cool measure of, there's now actually things for people who are holding Near tokens to do other than just stake them. We'll actually talk about how they can do both as well. And more than 70 million has been bridged from Ethereum. Another number that we're expecting to increase very aggressively very soon, but also just shows that Near is starting to attract interest from a lot of different ecosystems. So why Near for DeFi projects? So one of the things we actually don't talk enough about, but it's pretty interesting, is that Near has among the fastest finality of any layer 1 blockchain. It's about 1 to 2 seconds, which makes a very big difference when you're building financial applications, as that can really impact what kind of return you can have. Near has future-proof scaling via sharding. This is something that we believe, like some of the early members of the Near community, that sharding is the right way to scale over the long term. It's not just about making some short-term changes that get extra numbers. It's about this is something that we can expand up to as this ecosystem grows over many years. There is the choice of synchronous and asynchronous environments, which is not something that's really touched on enough on Near, because we have products like Aurora, where you can deploy EVM-based applications. Those applications can interoperate with each other atomically, which is an important part of how a lot of the current DeFi products are structured. But what we think is really important is that in order to scale over the long term, these products are going to have to be designed for an asynchronous environment, because we're at least believers that this is the only way that DeFi can really scale. On Near, you can actually choose which one you want to use depending on the nature of your application, which is really powerful. As we touched on just briefly, Near has pretty flexible support when it comes to what developers can choose to build using. So they can use any language that compiles to WebAssembly. They can use languages that compile to the EVM, like Solidity, which is by far the most popular choice these days. And they can also use Substrate and build app chains using a product called Octopus that I believe spoke earlier today. Trustless bridges, this is a big one if you're really a believer in decentralization, and also if you just want a good user experience. This is going to play a big part in the safety that you have. You want to believe that your assets are not actually able to be taken by any one actor or small number of actors. And we have trustless bridges to Near. And this one's a little bit controversial, but I'll make this claim. I do believe that right now Near actually has the best mobile experience in DeFi when it comes to the web version of this experience, which actually scales really well. Argent is doing a fantastic job as a single wallet for the Ethereum experience and these built native integrations. But on Near, you can use any DeFi product with the mobile web wallet, and it actually works pretty well. But please try it out and challenge me if you don't think that this is true. All right, so now we're going to touch a little bit on some applications that you can use today that were built on native Near. So this is the WebAssembly-based version of Near. And there are a few. Right now, there's about 8 that are either live or planning to go live over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. So we're going to cover a few of these. But yeah, if you're interested in trying a few out, please take a second to look at some of those URLs and give them a shot. and also give those teams any feedback if you have them. So the first one we're going to dive into a little bit, as we mentioned before, is Ref.finance. So Ref.finance was actually the first DeFi project on Near, and they're also the first decentralized exchange and what's called an automated market maker, which is just a specific type of decentralized exchange that works pretty well, especially in less liquid markets, which is usually where you start when you're building out an ecosystem. They launched their first product several months ago, and it actually has some unique properties that other popular automated market makers don't. I think one of the most interesting is that it's built to support multiple what's called curve types. This is essentially how the relationship of assets to each other. A really good example of this is you can have what's called a stable swap curve, which is where you can have similar types of assets that are supposed to trade basically at about the same price. So if you have 100,000 or a million DAI and you want 100,000 or a million USDC, you can use that type of curve for this type of product. But then you can also use different types of curves to trade, say, near to USDC or near to Ethereum. And what's really cool is that you can actually do trades across these pools using Ref, or we'll be able to soon. And this is something that doesn't exist, or at least is not very popular just yet amongst other products, and is really going to be a differentiator, I believe. As we mentioned before, they recently crossed 100 million in total value locked. Really exciting accomplishment. If you're interested in learning more from this team, you can go ahead and follow them on Twitter. They're pretty active there, and we'll keep you updated much better than I can. Second product we're going to cover is Skyward. So Skyward has been a big part of a lot of these tokens that have been going to market. It's actually a pretty fascinating product for price discovery. I actually think one of the best out there. And the way we've sort of seen that is that tokens will launch on this platform. It's done by a unique auction mechanism that basically splits an auction into an auction every second. It's a fascinating mechanic that's a bit complex. They have some great materials about how to understand it. But it's been very successful. So across just 4 whitelisted auctions, there's been more than $50 million worth of tokens raised. Those tokens have been in Near, in ETH, and in DAI, which has been really exciting. Skyward has its own sort of mechanism, its own sort of treasury that's accumulated $15 million. I think that's just a start to see. We're going to see a lot of DAOs and treasuries that are going to be this large and even larger. And if you want to stay up to date with what this team is working on, go ahead and give them a follow. Metapool. So this is one of my favorite products for a specific region, which is that they enable you to stake your Near, take your Near and stake it. We could even envision a world where basically all of the Near is staked. But what they do is they give you a token back to represent that staked Near. Why this is cool is that you can then take that representation of Near, which is more or less redeemable one-to-one, or for both your Near and the staking rewards you accumulate, and you can use it in DeFi. What's really great about that is imagine a lending product, one of which we'll talk about in just a second, where you want to use your Near as collateral for a loan, but you also want to have it staked because you don't want to give up this 11% staking rewards. And most importantly, you want to do your part and secure the Near network. And as we know with proof-of-stake networks, the higher the stake, the more security. So with Metapool, you no longer have to choose between using your Near in DeFi and securing the network and, well, those two things, basically, or giving up your rewards. They launched a few weeks ago, and when they did launch, they very quickly accumulated 3 million Near that was staked, which is pretty impressive. And also another interesting part of their product is that they have this concept of rapid unstaking, which means that you can bypass the normal 48-hour waiting period to unstake by using this liquidity pool that they've set up. And they had a decent bit of liquidity, well over 1 million that was in that, which is really cool. And they're also the second largest pool on Ref. I believe it was around 30 million total value locked the last time I checked. So go ahead and give them a follow, very interesting team. And then the last one we're going to touch on native Near before talking about some other parts of Near is Burrow. So Burrow has not yet launched. This is a team that we're working very closely with, and we're actually building out their smart contracts at proximity. And it's going to be a written in Rust, so native to Near, pool-based lending product. The focus for Burrow is really on borrowing and lending these interest-bearing assets. So unlike other major protocols like Aave and Compound, really want to focus on being able to deposit staked Near, staked ETH, other types of staking derivatives and interest-bearing assets, and borrow against them. The reason that's cool is that when you have an interest-bearing collateral, the value of like the collateral you're using for your loan will grow over time, while usually the actual loan value itself will stay the same or even decline over time. And what this means is your loan is effectively paying itself off. So imagine being able to borrow against your future staking yield for Near, and then get them, like essentially you don't even need to get a mortgage. You just buy a house in cash or buy a car or finance a lot of things that you wouldn't usually otherwise be able to do with the yield you might accumulate over a year or two. The beta will be launching pretty soon. If you want first dibs on this, then follow us at Burrow Cash. We'll be posting updates there, and there should be some more information very, very shortly. Okay, so that was native Near. As many of you may have heard, you may have spoken to this team, or you may have learned more about it. There's another aspect of Near, another sort of environment that is Aurora. So Aurora is compatible with basically the developer environment and also a lot of the tooling from Ethereum, which is going to be a big unlock for the types of developers and the types of products that are able to be launched on Near. So yeah, reasons that Aurora is really cool. Familiar wallets. You can use your MetaMask. You can finally use MetaMask on Near. MetaMask, very popular wallet, something people want to do, and it also just is very familiar to people already. It's a much improved experience over Ethereum. The confirmation times are native Near confirmation times, so we're talking that 1 to 2 second finality. Also very interesting, currently it's actually there's no gas cost to using it, but even once they enable gas, not only will it be very cheap, you'll be able to pay in ETH, you'll be able to pay in ERC20 tokens, or really just have a lot of flexibility around how you can cover your very, very low gas fees. And then most importantly, when it comes to the types of applications that we're going to see launch, it's more or less fully compatible with the Ethereum developer experience. So recently, there was the first launch on Aurora, which is a decentralized exchange called Trisolaris. So the Trisolaris team is really awesome. I definitely recommend if any of you have the chance to meet them, go speak with them because they're a great team, going to be great builders in the Near ecosystem. They base their contracts off of Sushi, which means they're already audited and going to be pretty safe to use right out of the gate. It's actually live now. They have some pretty exciting announcements coming up soon, and you can try it out right away. And coming soon, we have a few that you may have heard of from the Ethereum community. So one of the ones we're really excited about is Ref.finance is going to be launching. They are a stable swap protocol, and they're not actually right now the largest DeFi protocol. That goes to the great team over at Aave, but they kind of trade back and forth as to which one has the largest TVL. That's going to unlock a lot of opportunities for users of Near and beyond. SushiSwap is launching as well. They are what I would call one of the more flexible DEXs. They are launching a new product called Trident that has a lot of different types of markets that you can launch. Very excited to see them coming over to Aurora. Dodo is another really good decentralized exchange that has unique mechanisms that enable sort of deep liquidity pools with a lot less assets, which is really fascinating. And tying them all together is Kyber. Kyber has what's called a distributed market maker, which essentially aggregates DEX trades, similar type product to 1inch, and can actually utilize all three of these to give users the best price for their trades. And there are quite a few announcements that will be coming out very, very soon. If you're interested in learning more and keeping up to date with those, either give the Aurora team a follow, or if you follow us at Proximity Fi, we'll also be keeping you up to date as well. All right, so that's the present. That's where we are today. That's where we're going to be over the next few weeks. I just want to take a brief moment here to sort of spin where we're going in the future, and not even that far of the future. So I think it's only going to be a matter of a very short amount of time before we see billion-dollar protocol DAOs. This is like the DAO for Uniswap, for instance, already a billion-dollar protocol DAO. The DAO for SushiSwap, already there. We're going to see this on Near very, very soon. I think there's some teams that are building up this momentum pretty quickly. And what's going to be really interesting is when these DAOs actually start building products and utilizing products that allow them to act with each other like end users would act with these protocols. So imagine DAOs lending to each other. Imagine DAOs doing swaps with each other, all trustlessly, all through smart contracts. As I've spun on a lot about how much I'm a fan of liquid staking, liquid staking is a small subset of a much larger idea called superfluid collateral. What this means is you basically have your asset in one place, and then you're able to use it in two or more other places. So the simplest example of that is that staking derivative, that stake near, where it's locked and staked in the network, but then you're using the stake near token in a lot of other protocols. And I think what's going to be really fascinating is we're going to see this being used across chains. So on Near, you're going to be able to use your assets that are currently locked in, say, Aave on Ethereum, on Polygon, BSC, or Avalanche, and then use that in maybe even Aave on Near, which is going to be really fascinating. Another team who's working on some really interesting projects, this is like basically what's called single-sided staking, which basically gives you some passive, low-risk income. I'm not going to touch too much on that one, but I think it's an exciting concept. Taking advantage of the unique scalability of Near, we're soon going to see order book-based decentralized exchanges. There are a few of these that are in the wild now on protocols like Solana and others. Near is definitely uniquely well-positioned to expand this offering. And we envision a world where you basically will be able to use these derivatives with interest-bearing assets as the collateral, which just improves your payout potential. And one of my favorite futures, and I think this is the future we're going with all stablecoins, is we're going to see derivative-backed stablecoins that will have perfect price stability. If anyone's interested in this concept, please come talk to me. I'm very bullish that this is actually going to play a major role in Near's stablecoin future and will be a very bright one. Now, let's walk through a quick scenario that I think is a really exciting illustration of the kind of flexibility that Near offers. So let's imagine that you earn some Near on Near Crowd, which is a great just kind of work for Near, do some work and earn Near, don't even have to buy it, wait to get onboarded, and has been actually providing a lot of people some interesting income. Earn some Near on Near Crowd, you then take that Near and you stake it in Metapool. So you're securing the network, but you also have this stake Near that you can now do something with. You then go over to Burrow, you deposit this stake Near as your collateral, and you borrow some DAI against it. And all of this is happening on native Near. Now is where it gets interesting. You take that DAI and you supply that DAI on Curve. Now, Curve is running on Aurora, but this is going to feel completely seamless. You're still all on Near, but it's as though you didn't go anywhere. But you're now using Curve, a completely different product designed for a completely different virtual machine. You get some 3-pool tokens, and you'll also be earning Curve as their native token. So your yield is just going up and up. And now, imagine that you take those 3-pool tokens, and you deploy them into, we'll call it Perp Chain, a decentralized exchange that's basically running as its own app chain, using substrate-based app chain using Octopus. And you buy some leverage Near with this. So you basically have gone through all of these different environments, all running on Near, starting with some Near. You ended up now with a leveraged Near position, and you're basically earning a lot of tokens along the way by providing liquidity to different actors in the space. And all of this is happening on Near in 3 very different environments. This is the future that is actually not very far at all, and I think it's very exciting and is not something that we see offered anywhere else. Now, taking a bit of a detour and talking about how we're at, one of the many ways that we are going to build this future and get here. One of the things we were really excited to talk about last week for the first time that Proximity is a big part of is this DeFi grants DAO. So the headline number is pretty exciting. 40 million Near, which depending on the day is worth, certainly not a small sum of money. What we're trying to do here is really just look for the top DeFi builders on any blockchain and work with them to build out great Near applications, because we believe Near is the best blockchain for this. We're targeting to distribute this over a period of about 4 years, but I actually think that this is something we can make even more sustainable, and that can be, a way that we can support teams for the long term, not even just give all of this money away. One of the things we're trying to do differently than other programs is, for us, the most important aspect of this is that it's community-led. We don't have a whole lot to share on this right now, unfortunately, but it's going to be a DAO from day one. There's no single party that's running this. And over time, the community is going to be involved in a big way. This is an important part of, we believe, to make this initiative sustainable and also to have the biggest impact. And if you're interested, please go ahead and apply. There's a little bit.ly link for you. If you're a builder, if you're just interested, if you want to learn more, go ahead and shoot us an application, and someone from the team will get back to you. All right, so that's what I have for you guys today. Yeah, we're big believers that Nearvember is coming. And yeah, if you're interested in getting in touch with me or other people from the team, please go ahead and give us a follow or shoot us a message. Thanks, guys. We have time? I can do questions. If anyone has any questions, we have a little bit of time here, so happy to pass the mic around and answer anything. Oh, even better. Even better.
Hi. Super interesting. Can you go over Aurora? Just trying to figure out, you said you can use MetaMask. I guess it's an EVM compatible chain, right? If you could just expand on that, and also, what happened to the Rainbow Bridge? Is that still a thing, or?
Yeah, great question. So the Rainbow Bridge is still a thing. It's actually built or currently maintained by the Aurora team. So just to give more context on what Aurora is. So the easiest thing to think about is that Aurora is an EVM fully compatible environment that is running on the Near blockchain. So the ramifications of this, developers who have built, say, Curve, the Curve developers can basically change, like one pretty small change, you change the RPC node that you're targeting, which would be the Aurora RPC node, deploy their smart contracts like through that RPC node, so it'll end up being wrapped into a Near transaction, and that'll actually be deployed into a smart contract that's running on Near. So I think what's actually one of the fascinating things about Aurora, which is complex, but we do think is really cool, is that Aurora is actually a Rust smart contract that is essentially executing EVM bytecode. And so this means that, yeah, anyone who's developed an EVM application can deploy it to Aurora, and then even probably more importantly and more excitingly, people can use that application using any sort of EVM compatible like wallet. So MetaMask, something via Wallet Connect, et cetera. You just have to kind of change, if you've ever used a different chain that's similar EVM compatible like Polygon or Avalanche, you kind of change the environment that you're targeting and you just go ahead and use the application.
How easy is it for someone who's 100% into Solidity and they want to come over through Aurora? Because one of the biggest complaints I've heard from ETH developers is that they're just too lazy to learn Rust, right? So I'm just trying to get an idea, like, is it that simple? I mean, I did meet somebody here who's into pretty much everything, but they started as a Solidity dev and they're coming through the Aurora bridge. But can you just give us an idea how easy, or is it difficult? What's the learning curve there?
It couldn't be simpler. No, I mean, yeah, it really couldn't be simpler. You basically change one line in your deploy script, and it'll just work. And then for users, they have to bridge, right? It is a separate blockchain. So, you have to, like, say you have, let's just say you have Ethereum on, on Ethereum. You have Ether on Ethereum. You want to use, say, Sushi on Aurora. You use the Aurora bridge, which is really just the Rainbow Bridge. It's just that it's specifically pointed at Aurora instead of pointed at native Near. And you're basically sending Ethereum to the smart contract. The bridge sort of relayers work their magic, and they'll see that it was sent there, so like that Ether will then be locked. They'll then basically mint new Ether on the Near side to your account. It'll be your same account, so it'll be your same, like Ethereum address, 64-character address, and then you can just deposit it using MetaMask into Sushi. Now, the only step for the user there is that they'll have to change their environment to Aurora. Thankfully, MetaMask has made this really easy, and it's sort of just one click to add Aurora, and then they, go use Sushi.
And to bridge back, is there like a delay of 7 days, or is it instant, 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is a delay. It's, I think, 4 to 8 hours right now. That's just, something that we do want to improve. There's a great opportunity for products there where you can, because it is sort of similar to an optimistic rollup, but with a much less latency. It's provable that those assets will eventually end up on that new chain. But there needs to be a time basically for someone to kind of like challenge in case it was, like an invalid transfer. So there's a great product to be built there where you can have a fast withdrawal where you basically are just lending someone the asset for 4 to 8 hours, taking a small fee, and then they get it instantly. So we're working on that.
Super
soon.
Cool. Thank you. Looking forward to this development.
Okay. So I guess just a shill for tomorrow. So we have a DeFi panel tomorrow with some great other teams from the Near ecosystem. Tri-Solaris is going to be there. Panther Protocol, I believe 1inch as well. So definitely tune in for that. I think it's around the same time, but check the schedule. Yeah. Cool. Any more questions? We've got about 5 minutes here. All right, looks like we got one over here. Oh, yeah, I can take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Hi. Oh. Hello. Hi, Kendall. Hi. Huge fan. I'm just wondering how important you think it is in terms of cross-chain compatibility, right? So just going on from what that gentleman said, we've got the bridge to Aurora, and we're getting the bridge to BSC. How important do you think it is to bridge to all of the major layer ones?
Yeah, super important. I think cross-chain compatibility is really key. And not even just so that, we can get assets from all of these chains and have them be used in products on Near, but also so that the products built on Near that are native to Near can be used on these other chains. I guess yes, we want Near to have its own really big, really mature ecosystem, but I think there's some fascinating products that are being built on other chains that are not as easily compatible with Near just yet. A big part of the initiative for Aurora and Octopus is, of course, to bring this to Near. And I think over the time, just about every product will be able to run natively on Near. But there are certainly markets and users that we want to attract on other chains. And yeah, I think that's extremely important. And cross-chain compatibility, good bridges, all of that is one of the most important things happening in crypto and DeFi right now. Cool. I think that's, yeah, right, that's it. And we got Sasha here. All right, thanks, everyone.